The year is 2015 and the target is clear: the Bundestag, the seat of German democracy. Someone has managed to infiltrate one of the most secure buildings in the country, not with explosives or guns, but through a back door in cyberspace. This is no ordinary intrusion. This is a targeted attack on the heart of Germany's political system. Computer systems are breached, internal networks compromised, and sensitive files vanished into the hands of the enemy. When the news breaks, shockwaves ripple through Germany. The implications are grave. How could something happen here? In the land of engineering, precision, and cybersecurity expertise, the culprit remains shrouded in mystery, at least officially. While fingers are pointed and accusations made, the true source of the attack remains hidden behind a veil of secrecy. But intelligence agencies around the world already know who is responsible: the Bears. That was the name they gave to various factions of Russian state-backed hackers groups. Tied to Moscow's powerful security services, their operations were numerous and their goals varied. Some were there for espionage, aiming to steal secret documents and sensitive data from government networks. Others sought to disrupt, to sow chaos by infiltrating critical infrastructure systems and bringing them to their knees. The real names behind the Bears remained hidden, but their impact was undeniable. In the following years, reports of their activities began to surface. Germany was just the tip of the iceberg. Energy giants, chemical companies, and even the arms industry felt their icy grip. The Bears seemed unstoppable, casting a long shadow over European security. The question on everyone's mind was why? What was Russia's game? And the answer was as chilling as the name that struck fear into the hearts of cybersecurity experts around the globe. The name Bears was more than just a moniker. It was a label used by Western intelligence agencies to categorize different Russian hacking groups operating under the radar of the Kremlin. The most infamous among them were Cozy Bear and the APT-29, aka the Dukes. But the story of these groups is a tale of shadows and intrigue. For years they lurked in the background, pulling strings and manipulating systems, their true identities masked by layers of online secrecy. Over time, a picture started to emerge. Cozy Bear and the Dukes weren't your typical hacktivist groups. They weren't young tech-savvy rebels. They were highly trained operatives working under the direct orders of the Russian government. Cozy Bear, believed to be closely tied to Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, focused on gathering intelligence, targeting both governments and private companies. Their primary objective was espionage. They sought to siphon off sensitive data, trade secrets, and political insights. Meanwhile, the APT-29 or Dukes Group, allegedly linked to the main directorate of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, took a broader approach. Their targets were critical infrastructure, think power plants and communication networks. By infiltrating these systems, they aimed to cause disruption, sowing instability whenever it suited Moscow's agenda. Both groups were masters of disguise, often operating under false online personas to avoid detection. They used sophisticated techniques to mask their digital footprints, making it incredibly difficult to trace their activities back to the Russian government. So what made these two groups so successful? Was it their technical prowess, their patience, or the resources at their command? Perhaps it was a combination of all three. But whatever the reason, their actions sent ripples of concern across the globe. But to really understand the scale of their threat, we need to look closer to home, specifically to one incident that shook the foundations of democracy itself. Imagine the year 2016 and the setting: the United States of America, a country built on democratic ideals where every vote counts. But what if those votes were influenced not by voters, but by hackers? That's exactly what happened in one of the most controversial elections in American history. And at the center of this cyberstorm were none other than the Bears. In a stunning revelation, U.S. intelligence agencies uncovered evidence of Russian interference, attempts to sway the election in favor of one candidate over the other. The methods were varied, and the targets were crucial. Leaked emails, disinformation campaigns, and coordinated hacks were just a few tools in their arsenal. But the impact was profound. Public opinion was swayed, trust in institutions was shaken, and the very fabric of democracy was put to the test. But who was behind this audacious plan, and what was their ultimate goal? The finger pointed once again at Russia and its shadowy band of hackers. The Bears, however, not all members of this group were created equal. Some were more notorious, more feared than others. Take for example, Scaramouche, a hacker who became a legend in the dark underworld of cybercrime. His real name was Pavel Wróblewski, and he was one of the key players in the Bears organization. For years, he operated in the shadows, his face hidden, his identity a mystery. Then came the fateful day that changed everything. During one of his operations, perhaps in a moment of carelessness or fatigue, he made a critical error. He left clues in his code, a digital breadcrumb that led investigators straight to him. But instead of vanishing into the abyss, Scaramouche was caught, extradited to the United States, and finally unmasked in court. There he was, a man, not a mythical figure, not a ghost in the machine, but a flesh and blood person with a name, a face, and a past. It was a pivotal moment, a turning point, in the story of Russia's most wanted hackers. The myth was shattered, but the threat remained. Because even as we expose the faces behind the masks, we must remember that there are countless more lurking in the shadows. In the years since Scaramouche's arrest, the threat posed by Russian state-backed hackers has only grown. Groups like the Bears have evolved, adapting to new technologies, exploiting vulnerabilities, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. One area where they've made significant inroads is the energy sector. By infiltrating control systems and manipulating data, they can disrupt the flow of power, plunging cities into darkness and crippling industries. Just imagine waking up to a winter morning without heat, because someone thousands of miles away decided to turn off the digital switch. It's not a distant fantasy. It's a real threat posed by groups like the Bears, but their reach doesn't stop at physical infrastructure. They also target the digital arteries of our modern world, social media platforms and online systems. By spreading misinformation, manipulating algorithms, and controlling the flow of information, they can sway public opinion, incite discord, and even manipulate markets. Think about it. In a world where everything from news to trading decisions happens at the speed of a few clicks, the ability to control the digital tap can be devastating. And the scariest part, they're getting better, more sophisticated, and more daring with each passing day. Their methods are becoming more subtle, their targets more critical, and their attacks more frequent. So what does this mean for us? What does it mean for the future of our digital world? As the threat posed by these groups grows, so must our defenses. We need to be vigilant, adaptable, and ready to counter threats both seen and unseen. Only then can we hope to navigate the treacherous waters of the cyber world. So who are Russia's most wanted hackers today? Well, that's a question for another video. One that dives deeper into the minds of the master strategists and coding geniuses who continue to evade justice. Stay tuned because this story is far from over. The battlefield has shifted from open fields to the digital realm. The weapons have changed from bullets to bits and bytes, and the enemy is not always who they seem to be. In this new era of cyber warfare, the rules have changed, but the stakes have never been higher. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to stay updated, because in the ever-evolving world of cybersecurity, there's always another threat around the corner, another mystery to solve, and another chapter to unfold in the story of Russia's most wanted hackers.